What's up, guys? Alright, completed a move. Been here a week today. Still got tons of boxes and stuff to go through. Been able to get a few things up. For you guys that watch my videos regularly, the black shelves of comic books that usually are in the back, well, two didn't survive the move, so I've got to try to nail them, glue them, pick my boogers, smear them on there, do whatever I can to see if I can put them back together. But and I also was able to get some comics, and it was the oddest thing last night. I shot 3 times trying to show the haul that I was still able to get during the move, but I got my internet turned on Tuesday. Today is Friday, and finally got able to sit down and start catching my videos. And I saw Reader1717 sort of has a contest. Now, if you've been subscribed to her, she's just going to put all her subscribers on random.org and pick a winner that way. But I think it's a second chance for her contest is to shoot a video, show other things you collect. And I figured, well, since I got my shit strewn out everywhere, I can show a few things. Won't be real thorough, but probably some of these paperbacks. This is about half of my paperbacks. Another shelf down here I'll show. But some of the other things that I collect. She didn't want to do comics. For anybody that's new watching this, usually I show off comic books or stuff like that. But, there's other things I sort of collect, but I don't really consider myself a collector. It's just kind of piled up. I'm going to go ahead and show you the mess over here, which I can't believe I'm doing. But, one of the first things I collect are movies and DVDs and records and oddball stuff. Got some boxes of records over here, and that's why I figure I'll do this and stuff. Yeah, that's where we're at, man. I got a new townhouse, by the way, and there's 2 bedrooms upstairs, so a lot of this stuff's going to go upstairs when I start getting it organized and stuff. So just to give her a sample of what it is. Now, when it comes to records and stuff like that, my collection over the years has grown and shrunk and got rid of stuff, but I try to keep the interesting things or the albums that are actually like music. Like I have a Uriah Heep album that to me is one of the most perfect records ever made. But then try to turn around and I'll end up buying oddball stuff like this and stuff. A subcategory of stuff I collect is about anything Planet of the Apes. I've got action figures, books, novels, VHS tapes of them and stuff like that, and record books. I think I got 2 of these. Alright, beneath Planet of the Apes with the record books. Love the art in them. I don't, I know you said no comic books and stuff, but this is a little different stuff. And what was wild is a lot of these record books, I think Neil Adams in his studio was contracted to do them and stuff. So, but basically, you read the story with the record playing, and it will beep, and it will tell you when to turn the page. I also get little singles and stuff. Whatever catches my eye, whatever great songs, I have tons of these. This one in particular is from Heavy Metal Movie back in the early 80s. And this is Devo working in a coal mine, and the side B is Planet Earth. And, I love to frame these things or something. A lot of this stuff I get from the Goodwill, yard sales, stuff I do not put a lot of money in it. Now when it comes to VHS tapes, I started getting rid of my VH tapes probably around back in 2006, man. It was just ridiculous. I turned around, I had over 400 DVDs, and I don't know how many VHS tapes I got. And I'm one of those guys that, I don't mind. Some movies really surprise me that they're actually better on VHS. And the things I kind of keep an eye out for is that there is stuff on VHS that they're not going to put on DVD. Then there are movies that they have put on DVD that have been altered. A scene cut, soundtrack messed with for whatever reason. I don't know, rights to the music or whatever. So you're not getting the pure original movie. And I've got a few VHS tapes of some original stuff, but I'll give you an idea of some of the oddball stuff I get. As long as for me collecting books and old cartoons and TV shows and VHS tapes, if you put my collecting like linear, like the things when I was a kid that really grabbed me and sort of spiderwebbed out from there, would be Land of the Lost, the old 70s TV show. I dig it out. I got all those on DVD, and I had some on VHS and stuff. But it was really amazing because it seems like a lot of the stuff came from Land of the Lost. And I always thought that was kind of, you know, I never really thought about it, but when I got the DVD sets and they started doing the documentaries and stuff, you know, talking about how Land of the Lost came to be, a lot of the writers and people who created that show came from the 60s Star Trek show. And then they actually got real sci-fi writers to come on there and write those episodes, like Larry Niven. And it's almost like everything that came out of that piqued my interest. I grabbed, you know, somebody had something to do with the Land of the Lost, or somebody that had something to do with the Land of the Lost had something to do with somebody else, and it all kind of spider-webbed out there. Thus my fascination with post-apocalyptic entertainment, like Commandy and Mad Max and those kind of movies and stuff. But then on the other side of it and stuff, you know, reading stuff like heavy metal when I was a kid and stuff like that, you know, the big sci-fi thing, I got into the artwork and the artists and stuff, because there's a lot of things that caught my eye and I never knew it was the same artist doing things, okay? So I ended up getting a fascination with the execution and the talent and stuff like that. I mean, I know this is just, you know, you're asking what other hobbies are and stuff, but my hobby, my stuff that I get seems so sporadic to a certain extent, but it all makes sense to me because it all goes back to something. And that's just how, you know, there's just a big picture to it. Some of the VHS tapes that I get are things like, this was, I think it was on Showtime back in the 80s, maybe HBO or Showtime, one of the pay channels, but Fairy Tale Theater, okay? Oh my gosh, what was her name? Shelley Duvall made the Shining movie with Stanley Kubrick directing, and he traumatized her to where she just didn't know if she could act again. So her next project was going back to theater, and this was a TV show where they would take fairy tales and break it down to where I would compare it to, you know, hearing a great heavy metal album or a rock album, and then they go on MTV Unplugged to where, you know, all the smoke and mirrors are replaced and the talent comes through. They would get great Hollywood stars to come on here, and there's stuff, you know, Carrie Fisher, Christopher Reeve, Robin Williams, just a lot of great people. And each one of these are like from 82 up. I think the show came out in 82. Here's Sleeping Beauty. And you would actually see these actors going back to their theater roots, and you could see who could act and who couldn't act. I loved how it was just, it's like watching a play, and you actually just got to see the actor act. Christopher Reeves blew my mind, because after seeing him play Superman, for him to come into one of these fairy tale theaters and show that he is an actor, I was just like, this guy can do it all, man. So that's what I get. Then there's like oddball movies that I've never seen released on DVD. Not saying they're not on DVD, but here's the guy that played Fonzie, Henry Winkler. He made this movie called The One and Only, and it's about wrestling. And I think it's the history of Gorgeous George, you know, is what it is. You know, just oddball movies like that. Now, after showing you Fairy Tale Theater, there's cult DVDs and stuff that you can't really find. Now, I don't really get into the movies so much, because after exploring YouTube and stuff and seeing the movie community, it's really, I tell you what, man, they're you know, you better watch what you say, because man, they're a little bit touchy about you getting your facts wrong and stuff. Not all of them, but anyway, I get cult movies like this. Is from a studio I think called Blue Moon from the 70s. This is called Fairy Tales. And all I can figure out is that this was for like adult drive-ins or something like that, because like it's really weird. They have songs and stuff in this that are like Broadway talent and stuff, but it's like dirty as can be, man. Little Bo Peep that's shaking her boobs, doing a striptease. Snow White singing a song about being tired from screwing the dwarves and all this stuff. Old King Cole is just a big old pervert and stuff. And just great stuff. You know, they go after fairy tales and nursery rhymes and stuff like that. You know, little studios like that. Then I get stuff from when I was a kid. Some of the stuff will probably never be released on DVD, but like here's a Golden Book video of 3 stories of He-Man. Okay, you'll probably never see that, and that's, you know, that's for little kids and stuff. Dastardly and Muttley. This has been released as a full thing, but I've had a full set of the cartoons, but you know, I carried that around for years. Casper in the Boo Zoo. I think this is where he's in the future with another ghost, Harry, I think, and they get with like a Laverne and Shirley type kind of cops from the late 70s. And This was a CBS Filmation production of Oliver Twist from the early 70s. And if you watch this, man, it's just wild to see this come from such an innocent time and seeing some of the harsh things that happened to Oliver in this and stuff. I mean, there's some, you know, when you get into that mindset and stuff, you're just like, there's stuff in this cartoon that they would not get by with anymore. You know, this was before the moms popped up and said that cartoons were garbage and they need to be more, you know, morality lessons and stuff in them. So stuff like that. And then of course I love my Universal movies, and these are some of the movies, this is some of the stuff I'm telling you about, man, that like I kind of actually prefer them on VHS for some reason. That little grainy film stuff. Creature from the Black Lagoon, I do have this on DVD. Revenge of the Creature, you know, stuff like that, the old black and white. Then there's oddities and stuff that came out. This was from the comic strip. This is 2 episodes from an English TV show with the crew of the Young Ones, mostly. And it's Bad News, and this is, you know, if you think this is Spinal Tap is funny, this thing is hilarious with the way they do metal bands of the 80s. First one is like a documentary of them just trying to get a band, you know, starting out and stuff. And then when they had the Monsters of Rock at, in England, was it Donnelly Stadium or something in the 80s? Def Leppard and Lemmy and Ozzy Osbourne pop up in the 2nd episode, and Bad News gets to play there. It's really funny. And then, you know, I get these classics. I mean, I've carried this around forever. Pink Floyd, The Wall, stuff like that. And there's stuff like I'm not a real Westerns fan, but I love Red Sun with the samurai meeting Charles Bronson. Just a great movie. Oh my gosh, what was her name? Ursula Andrews. Andrews is in this, so yeah. Stuff like that. You know, and of course there's He-Man and She-Ra. You know, introduction of She-Ra. You can see how long I've carried this bad boy around, Black Star. That's been, I had the DVD set of that, and I kind of regret selling it. And then, like, if there's a movie that's good, I will pick up every version of it I can get. Here's like Immortal Beloved with the Gary Oldman. This is where Gary Oldman is a fucking actor in this one. Immortal Beloved, if you haven't checked it out, you want to see a good period piece with a little bit of a mystery and just, oh man, I mean, you can smell the piss on Beethoven when he's laying on the ground drunk and stuff from losing his love or something, you know. Oh, it's good stuff. Alright, so, and like I said, back to the records here, I should have shown this. Some of the records and stuff that I get, you know, Legends, you just don't see that a whole lot. I love the cover and stuff. And then Robert Crumb did this, Cheap Thrills. I've shown most of this stuff in my videos if I pick them up and stuff. But, you know, here's Cheap Thrills, the Big Brother company, Big Brother and the Holding Company, and of course it had Janis Joplin, who, you know, became the big star out of that one. You know, so and I can go on, man. I've got all kinds of VHS and stuff. And now some of the paperbacks, just to kind of show you if this is going to reach. And I don't think it's going to. So as you can see, let me get this going. You know, this is probably about half of my paperbacks and not even half my hardbacks. And I'll kind of run you through these real quick with a few things. I wish that would reach to make this a little bit better. So, whoops. Okay, we're still there. We're still going. Okay, just to give you an idea, a sample here of stuff that I get. I really wish I kind of could get that camera up there. But like, here's a novelization of the original King Kong movie, which is great. I think that came out in the 70s. I grab a lot of Michael Moorcock. This is Silver Warriors. He does Elric. I'll show you some stuff. This is all 3 novels of his Swords trilogy. And this is just really good. This is part of his, ties into Elric. It's part of his Immortal Champion. You know, get into that. I get some random Isaac Asimov, A Whiff of Death. I'm not one of those guys who will praise everything that Asimov did. But that guy, man, he could whip out a book in 6 weeks. So, I mean, there's plenty out there. You know, you're not going to like everything. Murder on the Abba. The guy didn't just do sci-fi. He also did mystery books, you know. Here's a bunch of different, you know, a little bunch of stories about the Silver Surfer by a bunch of different novelists. And The Last Son of Krypton. Excuse me. Superman, The Last Son of Krypton by Elliot S. Megan from the 70s. You really need to get this whether you're a Superman fan or not, you know, even with the 52 going on, because this Elliot S. Megan put some stuff in here that made this must reading. You know, he's got a huge fan base. All right. Another novelist I like is Piers Anthony. Just to give you a sample of what he does. But this book here, I think this is from the early 70s. Protho Plus. Basically, this is all about a dentist that gets a whole bunch of aliens that come in and take over his office, and he finally figures out that they're having teeth issues. So he ends up going off into space and becoming the premier dentist in the galaxy for a bunch of races of aliens, because there's just not a lot of dentists out there and stuff. It's kind of wild, man. It's kind of like seeing you know, an accountant go out and conquer the wilderness of Yellowstone Park, or you know, something like that. You take somebody like this and you send them out, and you know, you don't see Han Solo, you see the dentist. And then Piers Anthony got fascinated and did a bunch of stories where the theme is exploring death. Okay, here's On a Pale Horse, Buried in an Hourglass, and Eternity, and I'll see the one I like. I guess I got them out of order, but The Man Who Murdered Death, that's the one I like. Yeah, On a Pale Horse. This is basically when you kill death, you have to take his place. You know, man, you know, the Grim Reaper comes after him and he kills him. It's been a long time since I read this. I think I read this like, gosh, 86. You know, so. Okay, and then of course, you know, I have some Star Wars novels, and here's Andrea Norton. I'll give you a sample of her. I got a ton of her stuff over here. But Starman's Son, this is my favorite book to read. I mean, you know, I got like Douglas Adams, and then I got Andrea Norton. This is written in the 50s. It's about a post-apocalyptic world of the Starmen, and he goes out and he explores the world. Reminds me a lot of Commandy, because you figure out where he is by what he's describing. And the cats, that should look like a giant house cat, not like a giant saber-tooth or something, but the cats have gotten smarter, and they're the size of a real big tiger and stuff like that. They're real loyal. And it's just really good exploring this. I mean, if you like Commandy, you'll probably like this. And she gets into describing all kinds of things. Like when he gets hurt, she's describing the dew. When he wakes up, the dew on the grass, and how the giant house cat is you know, bringing them food and everything like that, and doing the hunting for him. How he's worried about infection. I mean, it's like, you know, real world rules and stuff. But she has a big series of books called Witch World, which I'm working my way through. I read a book and a half since I got these and stuff. But Witch World is very interesting, really interesting. You know, so we'll move on here. But like I said, I have a ton of her stuff. Then I like the old pulps, the old science fiction and stuff. Well, let me jump ahead here. Roger Zelazny did Lord of Light. This is a book that came out in '67. And this is the book that kind of makes me roll my eyes when people say, oh, Superman was too powerful. It's so hard to write a story with him and stuff. Lord of Light is about a Hindu god named Mahasamata Man, but they call him Sam. Alright, there's his name. And it's about him and the other Hindu gods interacting and what's going on and stuff like that. And this was a huge influence on Neil Gaiman when he did Sandman. Okay, that's how I heard of the book, was Neil Gaiman saying that. So this is the book where I just kind of roll my eyes like, what do you mean there's no more Sandman stories? No more Superman stories. Alright, I can go on and on, but I've got Doctor Who books. I've got the pulp novels where they retell the original stories of Flash and stuff. A lot of this stuff came to me from Steve Ogden. Doctor Who. I've got, finally, this took forever, I got this in 2001. This is the original Planet of the Apes book that was released in France when it came out. Really good stuff. You know, I can go on and a lot of stuff here. Philip Jose Farmer, though, is one of my favorite writers. And I've got Behind the Walls of Terror. This is part of the World of Tears series that he did. Philip Jose Farmer is one of those guys, he was a fan of the pulp novels and comic books and stuff, and he's really good. He's got the Riverworld series, where everybody that's ever died has woke up on the banks of a river that goes on miles and miles and miles. Mark Twain and Spartans and all kinds of people pop up. Got Anne Rice, Tolkien, Web of the Spider, Infinite Dreams, Invisible Man. I've got Blade Runner, the sequel to Blade Runner, that really does hold up to the Philip K. Dick original story of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I got my survival guide to monsters, where they're at, how to survive them, where they first appeared. A series of books that came out in the 80s, Malady of Magic by Craig Shar Gardner. It's fantasy stories with wizards and dragons with comedy. There's about, I think, 3 of these books. So you get the idea. Hardbacks. I got my Calvin and Hobbes. I got my Peanuts. I got my Mad Magazine. I collect older Peanut books. Snoopy, Charlie Brown. Hardback stuff when I pick them up. Calvin and Hobbes, because I didn't really get into Calvin and Hobbes until my son was about 4 years old, and I read a few of them, and it's like my son was Calvin, even looked like him, except he didn't have the mischief. He still, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, there's 2, I read 2 and 3 of the strips there where stuff actually happened. Okay, now we're down here to the hardbacks, and you know, I don't want to whip all these out and stuff like that, but the Elric books by Michael Moorcock, why these have never been put into a movie yet really blows my mind. But if you see Hellboy 2, you'll see shades of Elric and elementals and stuff in there. Lords of Chaos and Order. Just really good stuff. Got all kinds of those. Of course, I get the classics like by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Here's a John Carter of Mars book. I've got some Tarzan stuff up there. Stainless Steel Rat. The Super Thief Criminal of the Future. You know, those started in the 60s and they're still going. More Philip A. Farmer. His Riverworld books. But there's never been an adaptation that has done justice to those books. And then the World of Tear books, alright? I've got all kinds of hardbacks of the print of collections with the you know, of the single issues. Got the original Star Wars story before Star Wars the movie came out. Douglas Adams stuff. This, I've heard this is going to finally be the holistic detective agency of Dirk Gently. I heard they were going to be made into movies by Douglas Adams. Of course, you know, I got all his other stuff. Then, of course, I've got the classics down here. I got Ramon's biography, Neil Gaiman book, Lord of the Rings, Narnia, and that just gives you an idea. So, yeah, that's what else I collect. So, a little bit longer than I thought, but go check out Reader1717's channel. Subscribe, like this video or something, because, you know, this is a little different than what I do. And, you know, if you got books or something you like, go ahead and comment down, you know, because, you know, I've got some other stuff. I got, like, Dune and old pulp magazines and stuff from the 40s, reprinting stories like that, the Isaac Asimov stuff. Yeah, stuff like this that Steve Ogden also sent me, you know, but I've had Hitchcock books and all kinds of stuff. I got boxes and boxes of this stuff, and this is probably all it's going to get unpacked. Alright guys, so catch you later.